Hello, I'm Adrian Clarke and welcome to the breakdown. Let's analyse Arsenal 2, Wolves 1, a dramatic finish to that match. But overall, even though Arsenal were in control of the match from pretty much start to finish, it has to go down as a pretty poor performance. That said, look, the win is all that really matters, and Arsenal did find a way to win in the end. So let's enjoy the win, but also maybe look at some of the areas where Arsenal can really improve on in the games to come. And of course, we will need to improve on that performance. If we're going to stay at the top of the table, it's as simple as that. So let's crack on. I think the most important aspect of this game that we need to talk about is the lack of imagination and the lack of tempo. I found that the game was pretty slow in terms of Arsenal's possession, players taking 2, 3, 4 touches, not moving it anywhere near quickly enough. And there wasn't great movement, I have to say, not sharp movement ahead of the man on the ball or around the man on the ball. So everything was a little bit formulaic. You know, we have 69% of possession, didn't really make great use of it. One shot on target, which is just nuts, really, especially when you consider we scored 2 goals. Just one shot on target, which is poor. 82% of this match was either played in the middle third or the final third. So it was pretty much one-way traffic. It was domination, but Arsenal did lack ideas. What we saw was the horseshoe of doom. Up against that back five with the 3 in front, Arsenal just played from side to side, moved it left and right, and they didn't find those incisive passes anywhere near enough. And why not? Well, that's because there wasn't enough movement. There wasn't enough off-the-ball runs that were dynamic enough to stretch Wolves and to pull them out of position. Here, I'm going to show you our successful pass map from the entire match. Here you go. As you can see, it's a lot of passes, a lot of green passes. But there you see the horseshoe of doom that I'm talking about in terms of in and around the opposition half, side to side. The vast majority of passes are there. How many? There's a big gap, of course, in front of the D. No one really fed passes into those zones, which was disappointing. And you'll see, look, most of the incision came down the right-hand side, and we'll get to that over the coming minutes. Let's look at individuals while we're talking about who did what in terms of passes. So let's go through each of the sort of attacking players one by one. Let's start with Zubimendi. Here you go. Zubimendi, too safe, really. You look at that pass map, everything's pretty much sideways. Nothing really forward enough. Let's flip it on to Declan Rice, who I did think grew into the game in the second half. He was much better. Here's his passing chalkboard in terms of successful passes. Really just one from open play. And that might have even been a set piece, in fairness, that diagonal into the box. So again, Declan Rice, did he do enough of those penetrative passes to forward players? I think the answer's no with Declan. Wind it on to Eberechi Eze. I expected Eze to play close to Victor Gyökeres in this game. I really did, but he didn't. As you can see, he was very much in that Ødegaard right side 8 role. And I don't know if that really suits him as much. I prefer him as that twin false 9, someone that really plays up close to the centre forward. And I have to say, up against a back 3, where they've only really got one striker to mark, I think Eze could have played a little bit higher and played more centrally. I think that would have helped Victor Gyökeres. As it happened, as you can see on that map, he's very much right-sided, and there weren't too much incision. There's a little bit down the right for Saka and for Timber, but that was about it. Let's look at Gabriel Martinelli. His successful pass map is similar. There's not a lot going on in terms of passes into the danger zone. 1 or 2 in the game, but not enough. Victor Gyökeres, let's flip it to him. Really disappointing. Just 3 successful passes. He only has 6 passes in the whole match. 3 successful passes. I think we need a bit more from Victor Gyökeres in terms of his link-up play. I know that's not what he's in the team for. I know that. But I think you're looking to bounce the ball off his striker a little bit more often. And I felt that we just didn't involve him in the build-up play. Now, was that Victor's fault? Surrounded by 3 centre-halves with 3 central midfielders in front of him? Partly. But I also think that the team need to involve him a little bit more in the link-up play, because he can look after it. He really can. But 3 successful passes meant that he was absolutely a peripheral figure in the game. Let's take a look at the substitutes before we get to Saka. Here's the subs. A lot better, actually, in terms of particularly down the left-hand side. Miles Lewis-Skelly fed the ball into the box several times. So did Leandro Trossard, who I thought looked quite bright when he came on. So down that side, it worked a lot better later on in the game. But again, you do see that horseshoe shape. Now, here we go with the player of the match. There's no doubt about that. I mean, I will get to the player ratings at the end of the show. But main man has to be Bukayo Saka. It felt like everything good that Arsenal did in this game came through Bukayo. He was very, very bright. I mean, some of the stats, I'll get to them a little bit later. Some of the stats around Bukayo were absolutely tremendous. 47.4% of our attacks went down the right. 27.7% went down the left. So it was give it to Saka. And that's good because he absolutely had his man, Moller Wolf, on toast. And as you see here, compared to all of the other players on the pitch, his successful passes, so many more of them are into the box. And of course, one of them for the own goal at the end of the game. But he was absolutely the most dangerous player, the one that really delivered quality into the danger zone. And that I kind of feel that was the theme of the game. Got into some good areas, some nice little link play, particularly down the right with Timber and Saka and various players really. But then the final ball was ultimately pretty disappointing. 30 crosses in the game, which is a lot, but very little quality. Let's have a look actually at the crosses map. All of these maps, by the way, are on Opta Analysts' website. You can check them out yourself. Here is the crosses for Arsenal in the game from open play. And as you see, not one single successful cross from the left. And they were pretty sparse in general, weren't they? There weren't too much coming down the left-hand side. The right was very different. And I've explained Bukayo Saka was absolutely at the heart of it. In terms of our chances, obviously not too many shots on target, just the Declan Rice one. We'll get to that shortly. But the big miss for me, and this was the chance that I think if Arsenal took this chance from a corner in the first half, sort of just after the half-hour mark, I think we go on and win the game comfortably. It's a really bad miss from Gabriel Martinelli. Here it is. It's a lovely corner from Declan Rice. Everyone goes to the front post. We draw the Wolves players towards the ball. He loiters at the far stick, and look, he's only 2 or 3 yards out. He's got half the goal to aim at. It's a very, very disappointing header in the end from Gabriel Martinelli. Right, we did get 2 goals in the end, thank goodness. And we owed a debt of gratitude to Bukayo Saka, obviously, for them. Let's take a quick look at them. There's not a lot to analyse here. In terms of the corner from Bukayo Saka, it's whipped in underneath the crossbar. It's got pace. It's got too much speed for the goalkeeper to come and get it. It's got a lovely dip on it, and it just rebounds off the post, off the keeper and in. Not much to say about that. In terms of the winning goal, obviously, Odegaard feeds it to him down the right. And I talked about the numbers game. I've mentioned it on a few of the breakdowns that I've done this season. Can we create overloads? And we really didn't in the game, not too often at all. But here we did right at the end. Here you see in the red circle, it's a 4v3, or you could say it's a 3v2 at the far post with Trossard as a spare man. And ultimately, we didn't need that extra man. But the quality of the ball in is class. Jesus gets there. I mean, he doesn't get his head on it. It's Mosquera in the end. But the fact that Jesus is there means that Mosquera can't control his header. And it goes into the back of the net. So that was happy days. Cue delirium inside the stadium. And look, it serves all those fans right who left early because, with the game on a knife edge at 1 apiece, I don't think you should be leaving too early. I know it was a late kickoff, but too many fans did head for the exits once that equaliser went in. And I felt the game wasn't done. I felt like that we could put our foot back on the accelerator and actually get the job done. And that's ultimately what we did, even though it was a relatively poor performance. If we rewind the clock a little bit, that last 5 minutes wasn't good. Arsenal absolutely got too nervous. They changed their habits. Instead of being the dominant force and controlling things, we went into our shell and suddenly we stopped pressing. We let Wolves have the ball. That gave them confidence, and we got deeper and deeper and deeper, and we were asking for trouble because if you get deep and you stand on the toes of your goalkeeper, if you put balls into the box, it just takes a little nick, as we saw for the goal, and it's game over. Wolves, believe it or not, they've only got 2 points this season. They've put in more successful crosses in open play than any other team. It's their forte. They're brilliant at it. And we played into their hands in the last 5 or 10 minutes. It was crazy, really. If you assess the whole match, right, they got into our third 18% of the time. Very, very low. Between 80 minutes and 85, they got into our final third 13.3% of the time. Very, very low. In the final 5 minutes of normal time, heading into injury time, 35.3% of the game was played in our final third. And that's because we went passive and we went into protection mode, and it was a problem. Let's take a quick look at the goal itself. The ball came in from the right. It got recycled out to Mane, and we'll pause it here. So he's picking up the ball there, Mane on the left side. And as we look at it, Saliba has got Okadore. Okay, he's the one who's marking him. Hincapié has kind of got Fer Lopez. All right, they're taking care of those two players. But what happens is, in the space between where he takes that touch and where he crosses the ball, Saliba shakes off Okadore, who scores the goal, and gets away from him. He sort of shakes him off, and then he sort of lands on Hincapié. And Fer Lopez has moved. So Hincapié's like, right, okay, I've got him. But it all happens so quickly, of course. And Hincapié is kind of behind him. As we see here, when the ball is delivered, he's behind him, and he's not in a position where he can go and attack the ball. You know, he's a big, strong boy, the centre forward, and he can't physically muscle his way past him to impact the header, and he just flicks off his head, and it deviates past David Raya. So, you know, I'm not blaming anyone there, but I certainly wouldn't really blame Hincapié. I think Saliba maybe shouldn't have shrugged him off and passed him on at that moment, but he did, and then Hincapié didn't really have time to properly react. So it's a very minor thing. But really, even though I wouldn't necessarily blame the individuals, I do think that as a team we got too deep and we were asking for trouble. And Victor Gyökeres, obviously a big talking point, didn't score again. Gabriel Jesus comes on and probably looks a little bit sharper than he does. He had 15 touches in the game, just 6 passes, as I said, 3 of them successful. It's not really enough, and there were a few little nearly moments, and I just want to go through some of those nearly moments with you now. Actually, this piece of football was quality in the first half, so let's have a little reminder of it here. Eberechi Eze takes a touch inside, it's fantastic, and it opens up space, and he plays a beautiful reverse pass to Saka, and then Saka, as you see here, as we pause it, puts in a beauty of a cross, and I've got a little red star there where Gyökeres should be. He just needs to be in between the centre halves, but what is that, 2 yards? 2 yards higher up. He's just a little bit behind the curve, isn't he? A bit behind the 8 ball, and he can't quite get there. As it happens, he's only a toenail away from towing it in. So he's got to make more of an effort, Victor Gyökeres, to be really on the last man for me. I did think in the second half he looked more dangerous. Here's a chance. Bukayo Saka, surprise, surprise, whips the ball in left-footed, gets ahead of his man. It's a nice little loopy header towards the far post. He's unlucky. It's a good idea, and he puts it into the right area, and it's just wide of the post. Here again, Trossard, who I thought was pretty good when he came on, he offered him an angle. He darted into the box. Trossard is brave enough to play that little clippy pass into him, and that's where we saw the best of Gyökeres. Backs into the defender, rolls him, uses that physicality, rolls him, and he has a left-footed shot, and it just goes wide of the post. So look, there were some moments there in that second half where Gyökeres looked dangerous, he looked more threatening, but we need more of it. And I think in part it's down to Victor to get more involved, but also the players need to trust him a little bit more and play those forward passes into him so he can bounce them off for supporting runners. For me, in this game, Eze was too far right, so was Ødegaard. If you fizzed it into him, you don't really have anyone there to knock it off to, and that's a problem. I think he needs a bit more support. So, you know, it wasn't a game where he could run in behind, unfortunately. But as I said, he could have nicked a couple of goals in that second half, which was much, much better. Right, player ratings time. And I won't forget the manager rating this time around. So sorry about that the other day. I think, well, if we look back at it, anyone that watched it, I'll probably give Arteta a 7 or an 8 for the Club Brugge match. But that's gone. Let's talk about this one. David Raya, a 7. I thought he was good. Obviously, made an important save from that 1v1 in the first half where we criminally left Hwang Hee-chan as the last man. which was very, very risky, and he made the save. And overall, I think he did fine. White at 6, obviously disappointing that he had to come off injured. Timber 6, I thought his final ball was below par in the game. Saliba a 6, it was great to see him back, and it was overall, I think he did pretty well, but it wasn't really a day where defenders were overworked, was it? Hincapié, I'm going to actually give him a 7, because even though it's kind of his man that scores the goal, I've qualified that, and I thought he was really aggressive. He won 8 of 12 duels. He won 6 of 8 aerial duels. He won 5 ball recoveries. These were all team highs. So Hincapié, again, I think caught the eye. Shouldn't really have started the game at left back, but we'll get to that. Zubimendi a 6, a little bit ineffectual in the game. Rice 7, I think he was a 6 first half, but certainly got better in the second half. He drove us forward, and it was much more like it. I think Eze, I'm going to mark him down to a 5, just too safe. I think we wanted him more central, and we needed a little bit more bravery. Can he go and take players on a little bit more? Because when he did, he looked dynamite, but it feels like he was holding back a little bit in the game, Eberechi Eze, and yeah, just that one good pass that I've shown, and that was kind of it from him. He didn't contribute enough. If you're going to play in that sort of 10 role, you have to do a little bit more than what he did. Saka's the main man, 8, absolutely an 8. He won, right? He won 11 out of 11 duels. He completely dominated the left wing back. He was absolutely superb. 4 out of 5 successful dribbles. Obviously involved in both goals. Fantastic. Thank goodness Bukayo Saka did the business for us. And thank goodness, actually, Mikel Arteta left him on. Victor Gyökeres, I'm going to give a 6, because I did think that he had some chance the second half and looked more threatening. Martinelli 5, big chance. It's a big chance that he's got to do better from in the first half. And actually, in the second half, he did brilliantly to roll his man and drive towards goal. Once he gets there, it's quite a poor finish from Martinelli. So I'm going to give him a 5. It wasn't his day. As for the subs, Lewis Skelly I thought was good when he came on. I'm going to give him a 7. Marino 6. Didn't impact the game massively. Odegaard the same, 6, busy, but didn't make any huge impression. Trossard 7. I thought he looked good. Played those passes into the box, played forward passes, was a bit braver. And of course, Gabriel Jesus, we all thought he scored. It didn't come off his head in the end, but he was there, and he looked nice and sharp again when he came off the bench. It's absolutely brilliant to see him back. As for the gaffer, Mikel Arteta, I'm going to give him a 6. I think he picked the wrong back four, if I'm honest. I think Ben White, now that he's got injured, it's easy to say it in hindsight. Should he have been given a breather? We know he's been a bit fragile in recent times. Just didn't really love the makeup of it, with Saliba left side centre-back, Timber right side centre-back, and Hincapié left back. For me, there were too many players not in their preferred positions. And of course, the substitution actually solved it. It remedied it, didn't it, with MLS left back, Hincapié in his best position, Saliba in his best position, and Timber in his best position. So I don't think he got the team right. I did like the decisive subs, and I did like the fact that he kept Gyökeres on a little bit longer, and also like the fact that he resisted the temptation to put Madueke on. And thank goodness he did, because I'm not saying that he couldn't have crossed that ball, but Saka was the difference maker in the end. And I just think overall, Mikel didn't really find that way to change the pattern of the game. We didn't find any sort of tactical difference. Not a lot changed other than individuals stepping up in the second half. And I think you're looking for maybe something from the sidelines to just impact the match and to improve it and to give us a little bit more penetration. I didn't see loads of that in this particular match. But look, we won the game. It's 2-1. It's 3 points. Still top of the league. And we go on. And I think it's lovely to have a full week's training now before a tough game at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. It's going to be a real tricky one next Saturday night. But it's one that we can absolutely win if we play to our potential. So I will be back to discuss that one, no doubt. I'll try to do a video between now and then. Just to keep things busy, to get the conversation going. Maybe I'll do a little preview of that game, but I'll certainly be back after the Everton one to break it all down. Thanks for watching. Thanks for liking. Thanks for subscribing. Please do send any thoughts you've got on today's analysis into the comments below, and I'll read through them and hopefully get back to one or two of you as well. Until next time, it's bye from me.